Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of Digital Badge Academy's webcast. I'm your co-host, Jim Daniels, here along with David Leeser, who's going to kick things off for us today. David, over to you.
Yeah, we have a great session today, a great webinar today with Mark, Leuba, and Rob Coyle from OneEdTech Consortium. And what they're going to show us is the Open Badges 3.0. They're going to start out with a little bit of an overview of what OneEdTech is and why you should care. And then we're going to get into, what's going on with Open Badges and how they're starting to transform. So kick it off to you, Mark, if that's okay.
Yeah, thanks, David. And thank you for having us, David and Jim. We appreciate it, all the work that you all are doing and our collaboration. So for those of you who may not be aware of what OneEdTech is, we are an organization comprised of 900 other organizations that are members in the education and workforce learning community. We're talking about any organization in lifelong learning, from the user community like universities, colleges, etc., to the technology companies that support them, all in service of what we call powering learner potential. We have a wide variety of open standards that we and our members publish together. And today we're going to be talking about the digital credentials standards specifically, but we also have a number of other interoperability standards supporting the lifelong learning ecosystem. Digital credentials at OneEdTech were designed to support the entire learner through her lifetime, from primary school through K-12, high school, into college, possibly the military, and into her career, throughout her career, supporting the concept of lifelong learning. To provide that support, there are three standards, and David mentioned Open Badges, which is our core standard in this space. Open Badges, you may know, was developed originally by the Mozilla Foundation, and in 2016, they came to OneEdTech and asked us to take it over and to be the steward for that work going forward. And since that time, we and our members have updated the standard twice, and Rob will be talking about the latest iteration, Open Badges 3.0. But in addition to Open Badges, there is another important standard called the Comprehensive Learner Record, which again is designed to accumulate achievements of learning and skill for a learner from one organization for the duration of that person's enrollment, let's say, in that institution, or that person's time in that employer's location. And then finally, there's a standard called CASE, and CASE is a way to publish a framework that contains curriculum, learning outcomes, or skills descriptions in a way that can be readily shared on the internet and in an open and free fashion. So it may not be obvious, and we'll be talking a lot today about this area of education to work, which is a terrific focus of so many of us now. But as I mentioned earlier, the life cycle for these types of open standards is amazing in terms of the various touch points that a open record of learning can be contributing to value for a learner through her lifetime. She can see all of the different points of organizational capability and value that this standard can support. It's quite amazing, actually. Today, if you're not aware of this, let me say that institutions of higher education and K-12, of course, career and technical ed, are extremely focused on trying to align their curriculum to the workforce needs in our country and worldwide. And so there's a dramatic transition to make that alignment of these curriculum to skills. And so we're central in the part of that activity. And so what we're going to be sharing with you is oriented that way. So the digital credentials from OneEdTech are focused on supporting skills-based hiring and upskilling. Traditionally, with a resume that you might provide, which is unverifiable and some cases never actually gets seen by the employers themselves because of the various systems that your resume has to pass through. What these digital credentials provide as an alternative is a verifiable package of data that has an incredible array of rich data in it that is heretofore not possible. You can incorporate not only academic degrees and certificates and licenses, but also descriptions of the discrete skills that you might possess, and not durable skills as well as technical skills. So leadership, flexibility, teamwork, all of these types of skills can be described and provided evidence of that through the inclusion of some work product that perhaps you as a learner or a worker has provided. The traditional form of credential that might have come with a transcript is also incorporated in these records, as well as these other, again, more focused topics of learning and skills demonstration. And frankly, the reason we're doing this is to try to improve the process of hiring so that we can have lower bias, skills-based hiring. And I say lower bias because these digital credentials can be anonymized, and that this process can be very focused on what an individual knows and can do, not so much information about their demographics or what zip code or what school they went to even. So Rob, why don't you talk about and tell us about Open Badges 3.0?
Yeah, thank you. Open Badge is one of my favorite subjects. So Mark did a great job of introducing a lot of digital credentials in general and what we're trying to do with badges. Open Badges version 3.0 is the latest iteration of the Open Badges standard. As Mark indicated, it's been around for a long time, and there's a lot of amazing use cases for that, for using badges. Now we're looking at taking it to the future, and we've made some really great improvements through our broader community, and one of them is that now Open Badges is a verifiable credential. It aligns with the W3C verifiable credential standard that was released in 2022. So by nature of using the badges, you also immediately have a verifiable credential, and that empowers so much potential use for a learner or a potential employee. Mark used the example of a resume, which is a great way to share your information about your experience, education, and employment. But a lot of times those are paper-based resumes, or even if we're sending them electronically through a PDF or re-entering all that information into an employment system, there's still a verification process. And in many places right now, that's manual. That is somebody picking up a telephone or sending an email and saying, hey, I've got this person here. Is this a legitimate person? Do they really go to school with you? Do they really work for you? And that can sometimes take weeks to do. With their new version of verifiable credentials, this can happen almost instantaneously. All the data is contained in there in a way that is cryptographically signed. It's tamper evident, so there's a high degree of trust in the credential when you share it. And ideally, we're going to start getting more use of these in employment applications, also applications as you move between educational institutions. The verifiable credential, the Open Badges 3.0, it's more secure than previous versions of the Open Badge. It's no longer just like an email-based identification. You can use decentralized ID as a way to claim the badge is yours and verify that it's there, that it's yours. We also did some alignment between the Open Badges and the CLR standard. Mark mentioned both of those earlier. This way, an Open Badge, easy way to share a single assertion. If you want to share multiple assertions with relational information between the two, a CLR is fairly easy to be able to implement alongside with the Open Badges. They were also designed with interoperability in mind. It's a way to be able to integrate a badging platform with your learning management system or your student information system. So it's really, like I said, it's the next generation of badges. There's some really great enhancements. Mark's going to show you how you can use those, some systems that we've mocked up to show how this can actually work in an employment search type situation, and then we can drill more into that, into those after that. Mark, if you go to the next slide, I also wanted to talk briefly about a way that we are trying to empower learner agency. Right? More and more these days, not to sound old, but these days, right, people are really wanting to have control over their data. They want the agency to do what they want, when they want with their information. The Open Badges standards also have what we call a Badge Connect, an API. It's a particular standard that enables the learners to be able to move their credentials where they want, when they want, and that they can be the ones who initiate that. They don't have to rely on a third party or another system to be able to do it. They can go right in and move that credential to a wallet of their choice, or to a system where they can curate, repackage, and share as part of their employment or education application. So we're really proud of this standard. It's called the Badge Connect. It's part of Open Badges 2.0 and part of Open Badges 3.0. And we really are trying to empower the learner and support that learner mobility.
I have a question for you, Rob, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay if I just ask a question? So,
Please do.
because when you go back to that Open Badges 3.0, and which is really terrific about the W3C standards and the security of it. And I just have a question about blockchain, right? There's been a movement toward blockchain, and how does this impact that or does it in any way?
Well, so blockchain is supported through the standard, so you can use blockchain. You don't have to use it. The DID is sort of the decentralized ID is sort of the core. You can add that onto a blockchain and use that, but again, you don't have to. So there's a little bit of flexibility in all of our standards to let an implementer kind of make some choices on how they want to do that. This is a great example where you can use blockchain, but you don't have to.
So every credential has a unique ID that is unique worldwide. Every badge, every CLR achievement, and they can be recorded on the chain, as Rob was saying.
So just a follow-up question from that, specifically around decentralized identifiers. Do the DIDs and blockchain go hand in hand, or can you have DID in play without blockchain?
Yes, you can.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, that I did not know.
You can do it strictly through a DID, or you can put the DID on the chain and package it that way. So
interesting, because the DID, the emergence of that in 3.0 of the standards is something that I thought was pretty exciting, because it, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that it, in the past, version 1.0 and 2.0, that identification verification was done through email addresses.
Right.
Yeah, and this changes that. And that's a pretty big, that's a pretty huge shift in a positive way.
Yeah, I agree. I think emails, right? They come and they go. I don't know about you. I probably have 9 active emails out there right now.
Right.
Right. And that doesn't count all the ones from other places where I went to school or where I was employed. So, the emails aren't this durable thing that we thought maybe they were. So now we have
I know in my case, I have 4 that I have to juggle. So,
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
So that was really the chart then that says these are the things you need to know about Open Badges 3.0. Yep.
So again, our members have worked together to successfully launch Open Badge 3.0 and the comprehensive learner record and the case standard in the context of this big digital credentials picture. And as I mentioned before, much of this work is being done in service to education to work related effort. And so rather than think about these standards as ivory tower theoretical things, we felt it would be very important to basically demonstrate how these standards can work in a practical use cases. And so while we do have written specifications that are followed to implement the standard, and then we of course certify products that have implemented the standard, we also like to provide the examples and demonstrations of that work. And so Wellspring is an initiative we started 3.5 years ago specifically to do that and to press the boundaries of what's possible using these new standards. And we think that what is possible is what we call the virtual talent network. Rob mentioned on one of his slides earlier that often the systems that our learning records are in or our credentials are closed. And that's very much not what our members want. Our members want a very open and situation where the learner is in complete control of her records. And so that is very possible, and we set out to demonstrate that. So what we did is we built demonstration software, 3 different types of software. The first type of software is what you might think of as a badging platform. We call it the Achievement Portal. And the Achievement Portal is anticipates you have an institution, in this case, Riverwell Community College, and Riverwell has been accumulating these badge type achievements for a gentleman named Ellis Monday. He has access to his credentials, can export and share his credentials and collect them in his digital wallet. So we also developed a digital wallet platform that can take in through Badge Connect, can take in these open records of learning and combine them with other records that have been issued by other organizations, maybe a high school, maybe a commercial or community-based issuer. And so here's an example of that digital wallet. Ellis has, in this case, 2 comprehensive learner records, one from high school, one from college. He has badges that he's brought in from a commercial course that he took on electric vehicle technology. He also did something, this is really unique, and we recommend looking hard at this, self-issued achievements. So not all learning is necessarily formal in nature. You may be self-taught, you may have developed skills and capabilities that really deserve to be recognized, and you can assert those achievements yourself. And the way the standard incorporates that is you are listed as the issuer of this achievement, so that when people are receiving your badge or your achievement records, they can see which of these were formally issued from a third party and which of these may be self-issued, because obviously they're going to take that into consideration and maybe require more evidence, for example, of capability and competency, et cetera. And then finally,
Mark, I think that, can I ask you, I think this is really interesting because there's always been this kind of I don't want to say an arrogance, but maybe a lack of understanding of the importance of prior learning. And these self-assertions doesn't mean that somebody's, fudging something on a resume. But if somebody has created an achievement and, for example, maybe they created a project and they promoted that on YouTube and you can see exactly what they did.
That's right.
right.
It seems like such a shame that we're not capturing the full picture on a person. It could be, some of these achievements don't have to have rigor to them, but they certainly create this full picture. And so I think that's really, I think, do you see that there's a shift? Because I'm starting to see that there's a shift, that people are starting to say, you know what, prior learning and some of these self-assertions actually do enrich our understanding.
It goes beyond that. I'll give you a real world example. My son, for instance, works in the field of graphic design, and he's had to learn several different applications, Adobe After Effects. Latest one he's working on is called Blender, which is a 3D animation software, really complex tools that are used in his profession. And 100% of his training is through YouTube on those platforms. And I witnessed firsthand the effort that he puts into it, and he needs a way to be able to self-assert that, hey, I've invested the time to learn these, and I think this is fantastic. It's going to help address what I believe has always been a big gap in being able to capture, everything that's important in the context of what you know and what you can do and what you've mastered.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And the nice thing about one of the nice things about the Open Badges standard and CLR is that there's an evidence field, right? So right in the credential itself, you can put in a link to evidence. You can put in the link to yourself using the software. Maybe you didn't go to automotive school, but your neighbors and your relatives taught you how to completely disassemble an engine. Take a video of yourself, put it somewhere, bake it right into the credential itself, so the evidence is there. So when you start to, these HR systems or application systems start to ingest this automatically, the evidence can automatically be ingested with it too.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And there's an endorsement too, right? So let's say, Jim's son creates this project. He actually shows that he's done it, and he can actually see the evidence on YouTube, but he also has a client that says, yes, hire this guy.
100%. Exactly.
Yeah, the endorsement's another very powerful way to help with that prior learning.
Builds trust. All of this builds trust, and that's what this is all about, is how do we start to look at these credentials and create the equivalence of trust that hiring managers need, because right now they're afraid and they're overwhelmed. They're afraid of getting sued because, if they use they're not going to get sued for hiring somebody for a college degree, right? And they're not going to have to go wading around all over the place trying to figure these things out. So this is really a way to simplify it for them.
And I heard this statistic one time, and don't ask me for a source, but it's something like 70% of people fudge their resumes a little bit. So this can be a way to really help get that assurance of the trust and the quality of the credential and the backing goes behind it.
So one of the additional important features of a digital wallet is the ability to curate your achievements and present them to a third party, like an employer, obviously. So in this case, Ellis has this long list and more of achievements, and he's able to simply select the ones that he wants to share for a particular job and to forward that as an attachment, perhaps to a traditional resume or an attachment to a job application form on the website of this company. And so that is a very important aspect, right? Being able to select from the wide range of achievements that you've been recognized to have earned, down to a focus set that are applicable for a particular job that you're applying for. And this idea of applying for a job, implies that you're submitting or pushing your credentials to a third party like an employer. But the way that these standards work, you can also do the reverse. You can actually have employers find you based on the open standard that the digital wallets support. So in this model here, you have employers who have a applicant tracking system, and this is one that we developed as part of the Wellspring project we call Talent Tracker. And Talent Tracker supports the development of job posting and job descriptions and key qualifications for a particular job, and actually goes out to this virtual talent network with a query saying, who do you have in this network that has these qualifications? And they get a response back, and a number of candidates come back that are anonymized. You don't know who these candidates are, but this particular application, we incorporated an algorithm. The algorithm assigns a high-low priority scheme to different qualities and different aspects of the job requirements. And a simple point from a zero-based point system is used to actually add up and assign a value to this particular candidate's submission. And candidate number one, or candidate 32, ranked number one, based on a very objective, very non-biased review of job skills and how they're aligned to the requirements for that position. So we have this demonstration available. We share it freely with our members, and it's really helping the market move forward. A lot of products are starting to emerge with some of the capabilities that were baked into these three demonstrations I shared with you. That again it's a product of our members' vision, and we simply are the agents to try to bring it to the wider community.
Mark, how does that work though? Can I ask you just if you back up
Sure.
just a bit? First of all, I think that going back even further, that one where you show the selection, where you can make the selection. You hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, badges gone wild. Oh, there's just too many badges." And I'm like, how many YouTube videos is too many? How many Google pages is too many? If you don't have filtering and sorting, 10 is too many, right? And so really this is where it gets at, if I have all these different capabilities, I'm able then to be able to, like you said, curate which ones are important to the audiences that I have, rather than saying, "Oh, you know what, this badge has gone wild." Because I don't buy that argument at all. The badge has gone wild. I think we don't capture enough about the capabilities that people have. And so this really helps people with the filtering and the sorting, right? In a very big way. This whole idea of the badge wall and the CLR, who owns that and where does that sit for an earner?
So the original issuance sits with the organization that's offering the learning. Usually that would be an institution or an employer if it's a upskilling situation. Digital wallets are emerging that are open, that are available to learners at no charge. We believe that a commercial market will emerge that will have more of a freemium and a premium sort of structure, so that entrants into the market will offer digital wallets. Now, our telephones have already a wallet, as you're aware. So you can actually put these credentials on your telephone using those digital wallets. But the kind of rich capabilities that we're seeing here in this demonstration, there's a handful of products that are just now in very early testing. Many of them are sponsored by grant funders or by institutions themselves. And we're looking forward to a commercial market, blooming in this area.
I think the wallets in particular, right, from the learner or earner's perspective, could be a real game changer, because that's the place where you're going to be able to curate your badges and all of your credentials and then share them. Right? We talk about learner agency. You're going to be able to share out the ones that are most relevant to you, right? We've all earned badges for different reasons. Some of them are just for showing up and participating in a webinar, which is great, but that might not be the one that I want to share with a prospective employer. I might want to share this other subset too. And so I'll be able to curate and decide which pieces of my data I want to share, when I want to share it, and who I want to share it with.
What I love about this, also on the next page, you started talking about the talent matching stuff. And of course, that's something we did when we were at IBM, is we gave employers access to our registry, based on permissions, of course. And but it was a real game changer for some of our clients. We had mainframe customers who were having a hard time finding talent, and they're going and they're paying all these big subscription prices at LinkedIn and every place else. We gave them access to that, and they were able to find people, like as they check off the boxes on what they wanted, and they would basically get a bespoke list of who they wanted. So where does this kind of thing work? Will this be built into, is this basically built into the HR systems and it's pulling from those wallets, or?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Is that that's the vision. The vision is for this technology to be part of the HR management suite, and through the use of the open standard by the digital wallets and also the achievement portals that are part of the institutions, we incorporate the ability for learners to opt in. If they want to be part of a talent search, they can flick that switch, and then their records would also be accessible in the virtual talent network. So again, it moves away from the silo of one particular commercial provider, one source for potential talent, to it raises it up and says anyone that supports this open standard can be part of this learn and work ecosystem.
It's tremendous because, I mean, we've been talking about this whole idea of democratizing the labor market. Everybody uses that word, but this is actually making it real by basically saying, hey, you know what? You can put your self-assertions, you can put your prior learning in here, right? You can get your endorsements for it. You can show your evidence of it. And by the way, we can now connect you to employers in a better way than the way we did it before. And this is all really great news for people.
So as I mentioned, Wellspring, in addition to the demonstration project, also supports research really focused on connecting with those HR leaders that you were thinking about, David. So our latest research actually involved HR tech companies and detailed interviews about their capabilities to handle digital credentials, how well positioned they are to ingest them, and to also evaluate the skills cloud phenomenon that we're hearing about, because the case standard, as I described briefly, supports a skills cloud for a particular commercial provider or in any institutions or anyone who needs to capture and share skill-related frameworks. So we are all, our entire membership is focused on moving this discussion forward, and to doing so really at an international level. And then finally, I wanted to share something that's really somewhat groundbreaking, and that is two standards bodies working together to solve one problem. These records of achievement, so the Open Badge Standard, Comprehensive Learner Record Standard, and we showed you how they can be collected together and shared as a collection of achievements with, let's say, an employer. That is not the norm, obviously. The norm is resumes. The norm is this concept of describing your job goals, what your previous work history was. Oh, by the way, here are my skills and my other aspects of my credentials. So we partnered with the HR Open Standards organization. They were right about at the time when they wanted to upgrade or modernize their resume standard. So we worked with them very closely to help them modernize their resume standard, but to do so to incorporate the Open Badge and the CLR standards as a built-in component of their new resume standard. So I believe within the next few weeks, it's being published. It's in the very late stages of quality assurance. And I saw yesterday, actually, that it's anticipated for an August release of the new, what's called the Learning and Employment Record Resume Standard, coming from HR Open. And built into it will be the OneEdTech Open Badge and CLR standard. So again, it's really a groundbreaking demonstration of collaboration between these two organizations, all in service of closing the gap between education and work for lifelong learning.
So Mark, what's the difference between the digital wallet and CLR?
A CLR is a record of achievement from one issuing organization like a college or an employer. A digital wallet is a collection of those achievements that you may earn through, at one time or through your lifetime. So you're going to have multiple badges. You're going to have multiple CLR records that basically stack together to represent the entirety of your achievements
So does
in
the
that wallet.
in the wallet? So for clarity for people, so basically the smallest unit is the achievement itself, and then there's an expression of that, whether it's a digital badge or some other type of digital credential, right? Those can flow into the CLR, and then the CLR then populates the bigger your overall wallet. Is that how it works, or do the digital badges also just flow into the wallet?
The badges
Both,
also go.
both.
Right.
Okay.
So Mark's got a great slide up here from ACRO, the American Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers, and I cannot tell you how long I've practiced saying. But ACRO, they've endorsed the CLR as a way of sending a traditional college transcript. But as you know, you're going to earn badges and potentially other CLRs through other employers, through other education institutions, right? You may have a CLR from your undergrad institution, a CLR from your graduate institution, badges you've earned through employers, badges that you're self-asserting because you spent hours learning Adobe, and you can pull all of those into your wallet. So, like Mark said, you'll have multiple badges, multiple CLRs, multiple assertions, and a variety of digital formats that you can curate in your wallet and then share out. Now, you were right, David, in that badges can go on a CLR. So as an institution, I might recognize that you've earned a badge for AWS, for example, and I'm going to include that in the CLR that I'm going to issue you along with your degree completion or course completions or whatever that might be. And then you can take that whole package in your wallet, but you can also curate from other sources.
Well, that's the interesting thing because, as we start to move towards skills-based hiring and this whole skills-based talent transformation, that information is not in a standardized format. It's going to be very, very difficult. And that's really what the CLR and the badge standard does, right? Is it clarifies the structure of the data.
But then particularly CLR. I mean, it's all about, normalizing or maybe standardizing would be a better way to say it, I guess. How these different achievements are described and improving the context.
Right. The relation with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the important differences between the open badge and the CLR achievement. Open badges are, as Rob said, individual assertion. If you wanted to show a relationship between that assertion and another assertion, which is, for example, a stackable micro-credential, increasingly what organizations are doing, and it's a great strategy, is they may have a certificate program that's comprised of 6 modules, and each module stands alone and actually has a very explicit, outcome that can be badged. But those modules can be linked together. Those badges can be linked together up to the larger certificate in that stackable way. That would require a CLR to have that linkage, because the CLR achievements can be associated with each other. The individual badges, if you simply issue badges, that concept of a relationship or an association between badges doesn't exist. So that's sort of a technical aside, but one of the reasons why you would want to use a CLR is the ability to create these pathways and these stackable relationships between achievements.
Yeah, that's a great example, and it's one that reflects, and I know this firsthand because of all the clients that I've dealt with. In fact, I would say there's almost a movement that I'm seeing, or trend, I'll say it that way, of employers who are trying to build programs that have stackable credentials that lead to certificate programs, right? Especially, not that certification programs are going away, but particularly in the IT world where technology is changing so rapidly and agile development methodologies come into place and code drops are coming every few weeks. Maintaining certification programs has become a lot harder and a lot more expensive. And I've seen employers shift more toward creating these learning pathways with key milestones along the way that ultimately lead to a certificate. So it's a great example you gave, and for CLR, and I could definitely see the value there.
What's it going to take to get these things to take off? And what are the roadblocks? I mean, I think you have groups like National Student Clearinghouse that have to get involved with this thing. You have ACE, because when you get into all these pathways, the ACE would have a tremendous opportunity there, I would think. Where are the roadblocks right now? And what do you think what does the journey look like here? I mean, our badges has taken 10 years, right, to get to this point. How do we get this, accelerate this?
Well, we're focused on the demand side. We're focused on raising awareness inside of the employment community, the demand side of skills, and trying to let them know that institutions, to your point, institutions have been working this problem now for almost 10 years, and they have the ability to recognize skills in a way that's standards based. And those credentials can flow right into the HR systems. We just need those HR systems and the people that buy that software to be aware that this is out there and the great value that it can offer them to improve their hiring. What we refer to as precision hiring, because of the very detailed nature of the data that can be shared.
I think also, right, from the learner's perspective, the more aware people are that these things exist, and I think we're getting there, they're naturally gravitating towards, well, I want something that recognizes my achievement, recognizes the time that I've done, right? I was just earlier this week was trying to learn a new software, and there is, you can take this course or watch this video, and I naturally inclined towards the one that was a learning path towards a badge, because that's a way that I can express that I've learned something. And so I think, we're going to start seeing a demand for sure from the learners themselves who are saying, I want to be acknowledged for the work that I'm doing.
What about some of these standards have been pushed by governments, like the LMS standard, right? In a way, right? And so what are you doing with government agencies to improve interoperability?
Well, we do have state agencies that are members of OneEdTech and, very supportive because they see the importance. It's much more efficient for them to buy technology that they know can plug and play, that they know where the standards have a data privacy component to them and a security component to them. And so the states that are either directly members or they're adopting the open standards that our members are, providing, are very supportive when they're, presented with the benefits.
I think about when I talk to clients, I talk about, in terms of especially the larger enterprise organizations where, standing up credentialing initiatives, really it comes down to almost, architecting and engineering solutions that are going to be global and, all encompassing. But it comes down to ultimately having a program in place where the credentials, are trusted, they have integrity, they're discoverable. That's the really big thing, right? And they have utility and value to them. It feels like, just seeing what you all have presented today, that it's just not a next step. It seems exponential in some ways. When I think about the work with the Wellspring Initiative, I think about, CLR and open badges standards coming together, and that interoperability. And of course the open badges 3.0 standards. It's a pretty darn big leap forward, and in addressing those sort of key value points, that I think are important to the application of digital credentials.
I think go ahead, David.
No, I wasn't saying anything. Maybe it was Rob.
Yeah, I was just, I don't think we have a slide, but But we participate in a badge count every 2 years. And the number of badges and the number of badge issuers just in the last 2 years has grown exponentially, like you said. And I think that trend is continuing as there becomes more awareness and more demand. And so I think it's, the standards are going to be a way to help kind of make sense and keep us all operating in the same on a level playing field, so that we are not creating chaos, right? Which is it's entirely possible. So that's where the strength of the standards is helping keep things moving along in a way that we're stepping together.
Awesome.
I'd really be irritated with myself if I didn't share that. And in March 4th through 6th in New Orleans, we're having, I believe it's the 7th annual Digital Credentials Summit, which worldwide is absolutely the premier event for anyone that's interested in digital credentials. There will be many, many hundreds of professionals there that are leading these discussions and driving this work forward. There's always great innovations that are shared, showcases, and important topics of thought leadership. We've touched on a few of those issues today. Those subjects are covered in great depth at the Digital Credentials Summit. So I'd recommend everyone to please come to the OneEdTech.org and register for that.
This is excellent. Where do you want people to go for more right now? I mean, I know you have links throughout this deck, but is there one place in particular that you want people to point people to?
We have a digital credentials part of our website. So I will go to OneEdTech.org, and the menu is pretty self-descriptive. Simply click on digital credentials, and you'll see a really compelling set of stories that are told by our members about some of the great advances that they're leading.
That's excellent. I feel very enlightened from this session. There's so many things that I just didn't know that you all covered, and I'm pretty excited now to go off and just dig further into it. I'm also reminded, Mark, something that you said the last time we had you on, which is ultimately the vision is we shift from an environment where individuals are out there looking for jobs to a situation where the jobs find the individuals. And I think the work that you all have been doing here and what you've showed today is tremendous forward step, toward achieving that. So thank you both for all your hard work.
And certainly it's a team effort, right? It's really our members working together in a collaborative way because they see the value of this vision, first of all, which they're co-developing, and the importance of the open standard. And one of the things that we really didn't hit on specifically was the idea that one of the services that OneEdTech provides to the market is certification services. So, these platforms, produce badges, they produce CLR records, and it's not at all uncommon that those records could be malformed. They might not be exactly right in terms of the structure and may not have implemented the standard correctly. So we have this certification program where we will test and prove a product is interoperable and or work with the company, the product providers usually, to make the changes that are needed. So that's a service that we provide to our membership, and literally hundreds and hundreds of tech companies that get certified because of the value of that trust in the marketplace, especially with learning records, right? How important is the data integrity and the quality for a learning record? It's up here.
Exactly. Yeah. Without a doubt. Well, Mark, Rob, thank you both.
Thanks for asking, for inviting us to join you two. We really value the work that you're doing and our partnership and our collaboration.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking to launch a digital badging program or improve an existing one? Look no further than Digital Badge Academy. Our highly popular online masterclass will help you gain the skills and insights necessary to achieve success. Enroll now and start learning today.